Welcome back to this DISC video series. My name is Nancy Roberts. I'm also known as the DISC Wizard. And in this video, we're going to talk about the High Steadiness behavioral style. So if you remember from our model in the introduction video, the S behavioral style is introverted but people-oriented. And as I mentioned, that was a surprise to me when I learned the DISC model years ago. I tended to think that people who were introverted weren't people-oriented, which is why they were quiet, which is why they wanted to be alone. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because the high steadiness person is very people-oriented and very interested and concerned in relationships. They just tend to approach them in a very introverted way. So with each of these, I've been sharing something to remember about the each style. And I think the thing to remember with the high steadiness person is what's very important to them is security. And we'll see if I can write almost backwards here. Security is very important to the high S. So high S people tend to be very loyal, very dependable, patient, reliable, methodical in how they do things. They're just that steadfast person. They're going to show up. They're going to be there. They're going to be the person there at 7 o'clock at night getting things done. One reason is because they're loyal, but another thing is because they really like closure. So if you're a high S person, you need to complete things, that sense of closure that you need before you leave at the end of the day. That's very typical of the high steadiness style. High steadiness aren't risk takers, so of course security is really important to them. They tend to be slower to change, so now we're going to talk a little bit about some of their limitations or some of their challenges. And it does seem that they can be resistant to change. That's what it can look like to the other three styles, is that they're resistant. But honestly, it's just that they need time to change. I always say that the change needs to make sense to them, and then they can change, right? And then they need a little extra time to change. Another thing they can be, which surprises some people, because S's come across so lovey, so loving or so kind, right? Is that it can surprise the other styles how stubborn the S can be. S's can be very stubborn, dig their heels in when either their values or their family or something very important to them is confronted. And so the S person's, I would say they make great friends, they make great partners, they're great employees because of their steadfastness and their stability and reliability. But don't cross them. I think we always think it's the D you don't want to cross because of the anger. But quite frankly, the S's can be very, very stubborn. One tip for the C, D, and I who are dealing and communicating with the high S would be to make sure you give them time to adjust to change. If you're going to throw an impromptu meeting, if you can, give them a little bit of an agenda or an idea of what's coming so that they have time to prepare. S's don't like to stand out in the crowd. They like to kind of hang back, and they tend to be poker faced as well. They're not very expressive. The emotion of a high S is non-emotion. So they actually don't show their emotion. You won't actually see it. So sometimes it's a little hard to guess what they're thinking. But if it's a safe environment and if they feel safe to express themselves, again, if they have security, they will open up.